Hello again friends, welcome to Astromania. Today we are going to make a small video explaining how to process images of the moon. As many of us know, the usual or traditional method for taking images of the moon is to take a small video with a planetary camera specialized for this and that video, then process those images, take all those frames, all those images that watch on the video, take the best images within all those and stack them, stock them and align them to have a final image. In this case, I am going to focus only on how to process this video already obtained. I'm not going to explain that. I explain it in other videos, how to take the video, that is how to use the planetary camera, how to use, that is connect the telescope, how to record on the computer. Nor am I going to explain, once this final image is obtained, the stack of several independent images in the video. I am not going to explain how to process this final image afterwards, that is how to crop the bolts, how to increase the contrasts, etc. I am also going to explain that in another video. In this case, I am just going to focus on how, once I get that video, how to stack those images, take the best images, and align them with each other to obtain the final image. In this case, I'm going to use this Autostakkert program, a fairly simple program. I consider it a very good program. There are several for this purpose, but this one is specialized in this and I like it because it is very simple, very easy to use. It requires a super fast, super advanced computer. That is, with an old computer it can work a little slower, but it works very well with a final result that I consider excellent. I am going to explain the simplest process. That is, you have what you will see in the menu. The program interface has several options. I am going to focus only on, for let's say for beginners, the simplest process, but I will tell you in advance that the result for me is very good. That is, even not handling other parameters within this processing that could improve the image quality. So all following these steps, let's say, in some elementary ways, the picture quality for me is tremendous. I mean, it's a very good program, very easy to use. If you want to process many images at once, well, it is recommended because it is fast, it is easy to set all the parameters. So we are going to start, as the first thing, of course, is to open the image, that is the video that we want to process. We go here in open, we go to the folder, we search like in Windows. Usually a folder opens and we search in the Explorer where the video we want to process is. Here we see several folders. We are going to forget about them for the moment and I am going to explain more later what these folders mean. These folders are actually already processed images. When we initially open the program, these folders will not appear, only the videos will appear. We search, I already say in the Explorer, this is a Windows Explorer. We search where the video is here. As you can see, I have many videos that I have taken. We are going to, for example, process this. We give it to open, that automatically opens the video in the program. We have, this is a window, let's say auxiliary. You can see the main window back here, that is, there are two of them. The program opens two windows. This, so to speak, is the main window. A very important thing, here you see surface and planets. If we are going to process planets that are not there, that is, I am going to do a later tutorial explaining how to process planets, but in this case we are going to process the image of the moon. Then we choose surface and automatically this box appears here where the center of the future image appears. That is, all the images are going to be stabilized, they are going to be stacked, on top of this center. We can move it if we want. I generally leave it the same software. Choose this box does not mean that the image is going to be over this box, but rather it is the center of the final image. That is, this entire area will also be covered by the image. Here we don't do anything, only good if we want to move this frame, since the center of the image is another place. But I always let the software automatically, which of course is more efficient. Well, do it. And also, if we are beginners, if you are someone who is a beginner, then I advise you to leave it in the box that the software itself chooses. Come on, let's leave all this as it is. As I told you, we can work with everyone. There are other parameters that can be managed. As you have more experience with the software, you can try. Play to say in some way with it. Let's see what happens with the image if you like it more. But for now it is just a tutorial to do elementary processing. That does not mean that it is bad processing. It's excellent for me. We are going to analyze the second step that we do in the analysis. As you can see here, they are analyzing all the frames. It has 200, in this case 222 frames images from that video, and what it's doing is analyzing all the images and looking at the quality, analyzing the quality of the images. When he finishes analyzing, here we see this graph that tells us the quality of the images. He is reorganizing them, let's say, in some way from the highest quality. Here's the beginning. Even those with the lowest quality, this line, as you can see, 50%, that is from this line down, the images that are grouped on this side have less than 50% of the quality that the program considers. Therefore, it is important to see which percentage have good quality. For example, here about half of the images are more than 50% quality. It is already a determination of each frame to test what percentage of these images they want to use. Of course, these should not use them because they are bad images. They are going to worsen the final quality. We are going to use this. The program allows you by number of images. We have 242 image frames. We can put 120, whatever we want. I generally prefer to use percent. That is, here we have, instead of numbers, we have percentages. I prefer to use percent because for me it is easier, more visual. For example, 25% would be all the images that are from this line to the left. As you can see, they already have good quality. I would not recommend, for example, images that have, say, 40%. That would be here because they would already be almost there, reaching 50% quality for each image. For example, here I have are generally the ones that I use the most. 15 and 25 by 115 would be all these images from here to here have about 70% quality or more. Those of 25% would be all those that are to the left of this line that have the worst of them have approximately 60% quality. They would be here if the images, for example, this traffic line was here, let's say that is. Were there more images around here? Well, I could put, for example, 40% here, and that 40% was when I put 3 options. Will it create 3 folders for me? Remember that initially when I showed you the window with the videos, there were 3 folders. That's because I have used, for example, stock with 3%, or I use 3%. It is 15 by 100, 25 and 40, for example, and they create 3 folders, one folder for the image with 15% of the images, another folder with 25% of the images, and another with 40%, in this case like 40%. It is going to have very low quality. I don't want anything else, but we can do it, but it is wasting more time processing another image than it is not going to have. That is, it is not going to be with higher quality than that of 25 therefore. Let's put 25, 15 and 25 in this case. Once we set these 2 parameters, how many images, what percentage of images do we want to use for the final image? Let's go to this secondary window and let's go to these. We are grid, which are like eyebrows. Let's say in some way grids that we create, we are going to give. For example, let's put this option here. You can change the options, you see, but the program comes with these four by default. We are going to select, for example, this 48, and we are going to place HPV gives us 600. Let the number 613 come. That grids, those grids, those grids. We can play with the number. For example, if we give 24, 24 and 20, the dimensions of the grid 24 by 24 pixels. If we give 24, let's go, of course, have more grids because they are smaller. 27, 18 is too much. That is the difference between using 900 and something that gave me 40 and 8 and 2, 100, 0. Almost 3000 grids. The difference in the final image is going to be negligible. That is, no, there is not. There is practically not the same, and there are too many grids. The program will take much longer to process the final image. These grids, what it uses is it makes these reference grids for all the images that are going to be stacked, for if there are any. That is, if the image has rotated a little with respect to each other, well, in the program, she rotates them and ensures that all the objects in the image fall on top of each other, so there is no sliding between one and the other. 2700 or so is too much. 48 or 48 pixels gives us 613. It's okay. Normally values between 300 and 500 are fine. It may be less, it may be more, but that's the value I generally look for. If we put, for example, 104 by 104 pixels, we are going to give. How many grids do they give us? 127, 127. I would like a little more, but you can also stack with 127. Let's leave 48. As I said, the program is pretty fast, pretty efficient, even having a machine that is not very modern. 600 or so grids for reference. It is not going to make the processing too slow. We are going to leave it at 613. That is 48 by 48 pixels. We go to the main image again and we go to the final option and the final step, which is to stop or stack the image, and we will then have the final image. In this case, we are going to have two images in two different folders, as I explained, because we chose to have one image processors. Final with 15% of the images and another final image with 25% of the original images. We are going to wait for the process to end. Let's say the review of the entire process. My machine is not one of the most modern and so on. Processing is relatively fast, so I say a program for me is the one I prefer to process videos of lunar and planetary images. That is almost finished. I'm done. Now as we see, apparently nothing happens. Yes. The image is still the same with the same video quality. Yes, the one that had the video, what happens is that this is really not the final image. We have to go to the folder where he saves the images. We go here to explore. We have to know, that is, we can, like in all software, we can put a folder where he is going to file all the images, or that he automatically goes to the original folder where the images were, but all the videos, and there you will create the folders. I will then go to AHA. So as you can see here, these are all the videos we watch right now, the original videos taken with the camera, and these are the folders that the Autostakkert creates for me. In this case, I have one that says P40. because I have already processed images previously of these videos with 40% of the images taken. But if I hadn't done any of this, if I had started from scratch, I would only have these two folders, because as you saw, we picked 15% of the original images and 25% of the original images. You have to see both, because sometimes 25%, for example, if we use 25%, we have more processed images stacked. Supposedly the picture quality is superior. But if the last images of that 25% were very bad, then generally 15%. The image made with 15% of the original images will have better quality, because that 15% has much higher quality than, although we use fewer stacked images but higher quality images. I suspect that generally, for example, these three folders in this case are 40%, and I compare, and many times I do not notice big differences between the three. That is because 40% use more images to pillar, therefore the average, the final quality. Using the middle of all those images, which is better, but the last images in that percentage have less quality, which deteriorates the final image. Therefore, it is a balance that one has to look for. We are going to open. For example, 25% is generally one of the ones that I use the image the most, which, as you can see here, two images are processed for each image. That each final image gives us two images. If you see the number 419 here, yes. The name is the same, only that this one has CONV at the end. It really is. And the same thing happens in all of them, 176, 176. But CONV 4274, that is, they can't eliminate this one. I never use it. This one has very, very bad quality. This is really the image that there are many here. They are not going to be confused. It is because I have processed all the previous videos, in this case the one we process now. But since the process was this one here, I'm going to open it first. As you can see, there are two, like the two final images. I'm going to open this one first, which is the one I say has poor quality. They can be erased. All these that do not say C or V can be eliminated. I'm going to open it so you can see the difference between quality between the one that says C or V and the one that is more cross. This is the original one. It is very similar to the video, that is with a lower resolution, lower quality, and this is the one that says COUCONU. Sorry, you can see the difference between. This has been almost like a raw image of the video, maybe a little more improved, but really no, I didn't say. And this is the final image, as I said. As you can see, it has excellent quality, much better of course than the video on another. In another video, I am going to explain how to process this image afterwards. There are several software for this. I am going to explain to you the one I use in my case, and I use Photoshop. Maybe I will explain that I will do some other tutorial using other software as well, so that it has more variety, but I precisely stop by process to process this final image. In improving it a little more, because I use Photoshop, such as trimming them. If you don't want this to be seen here, then crop the image, say here to increase the contrast, brightness, saturation, decrease saturation. People really like to lower the saturation because they like the picture to look more black and white. There are people who like to increase saturation. There are people who use it to that the colors, that is the minerals on the surface of the moon. But hey, that's another video. This one was only about Autostakkert, how to process the image of the moon. Hey, that is a rather brief, quite elementary explanation of the video. I'm going to recapitulate that. There were many explanations here to open the program. When they open the program, this image appears. You don't have to do anything here. If that box appears, which is the one I showed you, that in the center of the future image, if they want, they leave it as it is. They are going to analyze it, it is going to select it, it is going to make this graph, and here you can see what quality it has. This gives you an overall quality of each image. You choose what percentage of these images you want to be processed for the final image. Are you going here then to this second window? They choose the dimensions of the grids. Let's put 200 for example. And we're going with 200. The dimensions are larger than each grid, so press only 28. It is very little. I normally use 48. It depends on the image, but that is where this number here is, which is where between 200 and 500, 600 is fine that it is. And then once these grids are made, well, only Hun is here and we already have the final image. We need to know where you keep them. To go look for the final image is everything. I hope that the video has been helpful to you. As I said, a video only focused on this software, on how to stock, how to stack the images in the video. If you liked it, if it was useful, give a like and I share. Thank you. I have everything.